I've been getting a lot of DMs questioning what is the role of a man in a relationship. And please understand this perfectly. Listen to me carefully. If you do not understand this concept, which I'm about to reveal, you would lose your chance. Your relationship will be destroyed. It will be endless argument. And we know how that ends. You lose the house, you lose the kids, you lose everything. Listen very carefully. In fact, you guys are extremely lucky because every single film I'm about to distill today is as a consequence of trial and error, experience. It's not something I read in a book. It's not something I learned in a course. So you guys are very, very lucky in that regard. The role of a man in a relationship is extremely clear. Is to provide and protect. Conversely, the role of a woman in a relationship is to remain sexually exclusive and loyal. Where problem ensues is when you try and mix it up. It doesn't work. If you walk up to the average woman, what's your value in a relationship? They beat around the bush because society has vilified this aspect of value. To society, being sexually exclusive and loyal and being a very good mother, it's deemed as worthless. As a consequence of the lack of understanding of their value in relationship, women go to pursue mundane things like a career, a job, a Birkin. When was the last time you, as a full grown man, looked at a lady? I find this girl attractive because she's the CEO of a publicly traded company. It doesn't work that way. Men's psyche are not built to form attractive or to form attractiveness based off of what you have. It's primarily hinged on your physical features, your looks, your demeanor, and the list comes. So women are chasing the wrong thing in that regard. Another point I want us to touch on before we move on is this idea of inverting values. If the values are stated and every single thing I have said up until this point makes a lot of sense to you, you hold a man accountable to his value. So a man is not being a man in a relationship when he doesn't provide and protect, and the woman isn't doing her duty when she errs in the opposite direction of the aforementioned. It gets messed up when a woman tries to hold a man to the same standards as he. So, for instance, imposing sexual exclusivity on a man is impossible. It's never going to work out. In fact, this is something we understand biologically because we as humans are or we function on very unscripted rules. If you murder someone today in cold blood, once you're vindicated of all the crimes, part of you would go, I just killed a man. Well, it was out of self defense. No, you killed somebody. That's the conscience. It has nothing to do with discipline, stoicism, or a very strong mind, mental fortitude. No, this is pure human nature. The same thing with men. If you walk into a house and the woman is the one providing and protecting, and the man is just sitting at home cooking dinner, you might not say anything because you're a mature individual and you wouldn't want to be invasive. Part of you would feel something is wrong. Like, why? Three men pulls up with AK and the wife jumps in front. It doesn't make sense. Now, society might try and pretend that that is natural, or you watch in a Netflix movie a 100-pound lady beating on full-grown men. It's not possible. It never works. In fact, I have a very interesting story surrounding that wise. Very recently, I enrolled for boxing classes. 3 days later, this lady shows up, having watching having watched a Netflix movie. 4 days down the line, she decided to spar with a man. Bam! Stop! 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 Her remark, I have never been hit so hard in my life. And she lost all composure. And anybody in Africa understands there is an African accent for women. So Nigeria is divided into island and mainland. So island girls have this swoosh accent where they'll be like, "Excuse me, give me direction," and they're very soft spoken and calm. But when he struck her, she lost all composure. It was like, "Stop, stop." Yeah, so it just validates my point. Netflix is shit. Do not believe what you see on the internet. But back to the initial discourse. It doesn't make sense. Conversely, if a man goes outside, provides for his various girlfriends, or provides for another family while his wife is in abject poverty, if you come into that home, you will go, why? Why are you doing this? It's not wrong. It's something you understand intrinsically. Now, let's switch it up. If a man cheats on his wife, women are more susceptible to look it off. But if a woman cheats on her man, it's different. It's a different discourse in and of itself. You understand this sociologically, biologically, every lead you can talk about. And now, majority of you would want to come in the comment section and say things like, "Oh, this is just programming, society. A man shouldn't cheat on his woman." Firstly, he's not cheating. Secondly, he's exploring his options. If you read the Bible, any history book, any story, there is not a single chapter written in the celebration of a promiscuous woman. Promiscuity in and of itself is frowned upon God and man. Women shouldn't be allowed to sleep around. In fact, again, I revert back to biology all the time because for you to understand the subject, you must look at it from a biological standpoint, an evolutionary standpoint, and from a physics standpoint. So, from an evolutionary standpoint, women are not conditioned to be promiscuous. That's why this propaganda of if he cheats on you, you should cheat on him back. It didn't last because on the long enough time frame, a lady wakes up next to some old, ugly, haggard man. No, I don't deserve to be doing this. I deserve to be treated like a princess. I'm not going to be doing this. That's how that propaganda died. So every single one of you understand this perfectly. One way to exert your dominance is to be confident in yourself. And confidence is not a consequence of affirmations. Confidence doesn't come by believing you're confident. Confidence comes from consistent action. It must be derived from something, hinged upon something. You're confident because you are disciplined enough to do the list. You're confident because you said you were going to do XYZ and you delivered. Confidence. For the sake of time, I will conclude here. And as always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you, and I'll see you in the next one.